Kamala Shila also said, if you abide in Shila, you obtain samadhi. So what is the relationship between, Shila, the ethical life, and samadhi? Can we draw that a little bit before we get into well-being?
Yeah. I love the question. These are so meaningful. So this afternoon for me is already meaningful. When we think of the three higher trainings within Buddhism of Shila, Samadhi, Prajna, ethics, samadhi, mental balance really, and wisdom, it can feel very hierarchical. And in a way it is, like a pyramid. The foundation, the basis, is ethics. On that basis, developing exceptional mental well-being and balance. And on that basis, cultivating wisdom. This is all true. But it's also true that through this cultivation, the higher training of samadhi, which is not just concentration, it's also mindfulness, it's introspection, it's cultivating attention, empathy, loving kindness, compassion. It's really an overall cultivation of the mind to realize exceptional levels of mental balance, mental health, and therefore mental well-being. Well, in the very act of turning to the contemplative life, even if it's only in half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening, or an hour, even if it's, interwoven with a very active way of life, the more we cultivate these inner qualities, we bring greater clarity, lucidity, acuity to our awareness inwardly. But then when we turn out the same awareness outwards, the qualities of attention we've cultivated, of mindfulness and so forth, we cultivate these first inwardly, and then when we come outwardly, then we'll be much more vividly aware of our own way of being active in the world. It just comes with the territory. And then we will see with finer and finer pitch, higher and higher frequency, greater and greater finesse, subtleties of, one can say on occasion, violence, a harsh thought, a disparaging attitude, a condescending way of viewing it to another person, or maybe even despising another person. We can see, well, oh, that was a bit manipulative. Oh, there I saw self-centeredness really reared itself. Oh, I saw some pride coming up there. That was arrogance, boy, in your face. And other people won't even see it possibly. But as you're fine-tuning your awareness, looking inwards, then when you come out into the world, that same awareness will illuminate how we are present in the world, how other people are present with us. It can actually serve also as a basis for cultivating greater and greater empathy, because we'll be attending more and more closely to those with whom we engage, whether it's children and spouse in the home, or we still need to go shopping. Some people are able to go to work, but we'll be more attentive. And I am coming back to one of my favorite words in the English language, attention, to attend, to be attentive. And the etymology is really quite beautiful, so it's worth a minute. But in cultivating the higher training of samadhi, we are cultivating attention, which etymologically means to tend to. To tend to like a shepherd tending to a sheep, to watch over, to look after, to care for. That's attention. So our first task is to attend to ourselves. And what comes to mind is, I've flown so many hundreds of thousands of miles by now. And who hasn't heard, if you've ever been on an airplane, you must remember, in the unlikely event of a sudden loss of cabin pressure, you know what's going to happen. The air is going to, the little mask is going to come down. And what do they tell you? Maybe you're a mother and you have 2 children in the seats next to you. And the mask comes down for each of the 3. What is the mother supposed to do? The mother's natural instinct is to first help her children. She'd rather die than see her children die. And what the voice on the intercom tells you, first put the mask on yourself. And then turn to anybody else. Because if you go for the others first and you're suffocating, you pass out, then they don't do very well, and you certainly don't do very well. So I like that metaphorically, that in the contemplative life, first tend to yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a reasonable way, a sensible way. As a mother who first puts the oxygen mask on her own face so she can breathe freely, and then she immediately turns to her children, for whom she'd happily sacrifice her life, quite likely. But you have to take care of yourself. In the Kadampa tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, they say, if you've not subdued your own mind, how can you then imagine subduing, training, calming the minds of others? So there have been many revolutionaries throughout human history. And ever so often, I don't need to give examples, so ever so often, coming along and they see injustice, they see cruelty, they see unnecessary suffering, and they come in and say, I've got a better idea. I can make this better. And the first revolution is outside. And so they overthrow the dictator, they overthrow the emperor, the king, the tyrant, and they come in, and 3 years later, guess who's the new tyrant in town? Because the inner revolution never took place. They brought their same mental afflictions of ego, of greed, of selfishness, of hostility, of bigotry, and so forth. They never got around to the first revolution, therefore the outer revolution, over time, it doesn't turn out very well. So the contemplative wisdom of humanity throughout the ages is, if you want to bring about very deep, lasting, transformative transformation, meaningful change in the world, transform yourself first. So that you will not be coming out into the world with all your infectious mental afflictions, ready to infect other people with your own mental imbalances. So, good time for the contemplatives now.